Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I am your host, Kevin Kietzman. We are settling in hump day, middle of the week, Wednesday, and it's about to cool off in the big city, and maybe fall is just around the corner. We got real football games coming up on Saturday in college football. The Chiefs play the Bears at Arrowhead on Friday night. I'm swinging out of summer mode and into something this tweener season where, the pool's still open, but there's football going on. Ooh, what is better than that? We got some really good topics on the broadcast today, including in just a moment. I can't, I love a good lead where I can't get through it without laughing. Adam Schiff has started a legal defense fund. We're going to have the details for you coming up in just a moment. Also, a park ranger in Yosemite claims she was fired because of the new anti-woke administration in Washington, D.C. We'll fill you in on there. Why Costco is no longer selling the abortion pill. There you go. And those Red Hot Royals. Really strong stuff today on the broadcast. And we'll start with a couple of topics that have caught my eye. The first is just the fact that Adam Schiff has had to start a legal defense fund. He filed on August 14th with the Internal Revenue Service. Senator Schiff from California. Russia, impeach, impeach, impeach. One false claim after another false claim. Well, he is straight in the crosshairs of an investigative committee in the House of Representatives, the kind of thing he used to do and not really find anything on anyone. Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, he got a pardon from Joe Biden. But his pardon, as most people read it, is specific to January 6th and any involvement in the Unselect Committee and all the things that went on around that and all the work that he did there. That was an immediate red flag that those people had scammed their way through the J6 investigation and prosecution, if that's what you want to call it, of Donald Trump and all of his people. They did this for years to Donald Trump, and Adam Schiff was maybe the biggest driver of it, trying to make a name for himself so he could become the senator from California, and I'm sure he's got some delusional dream that he'll be president of the United States someday. We never rule out anymore that somebody will make it to president of the United States anymore because Joe Biden made it. After he failed about 26 times, and in the 70s and 80s, Johnny Carson was making fun of him for being a plagiarist and all these other things that he did, somehow found his way sticking around in Democrat politics to be the guy still standing that got the nomination. Adam Schiff maybe sees himself the same way. But according to the Internal Revenue Service filing, there is a legal defense fund called the, quote, Senator Schiff Legal Defense Fund. It was filed by the IRS on August 14th. And we have a statement from a spokesperson for Adam Schiff. He's not talking about it, but the paperwork is there. His spokesperson says, quote, it's clear that Donald Trump and his MAGA allies will continue weaponizing the justice process to attack Senator Schiff for holding this corrupt administration accountable. This fund will ensure he can fight back against these baseless smears while continuing to do his job. Okay, crazy leftists. Senator Schiff needs your money to fight off Trump. Well, I think there was years of Senator Schiff going after Trump. Maybe he should have thought about that. And calling them baseless claims when everything Schiff did to Trump has been proven false is really a remarkable stance from this spokesperson. You'll notice it's a spokesperson talking about it and not the senator himself. The last thing he wants to start doing is talking about his legal defense fund. When Schiff became chairman of the committee in the Russia investigation, he launched that investigation that would lead to Trump's first impeachment. He has reportedly, according to whistleblowers and FBI Director Kash Patel, lied to his staff about what to do during this time period, telling them to leak reports to the media that they were knowingly false. They knew were false. Don't take classified material and leak it to the media, but let's make stuff up about Trump and let's get it out there and let's get the journalism rolling. That's what Adam Schiff did. There is a witness, there is testimony, there is backing from the FBI, and Congress has it. Adam Schiff's in real trouble, and he knows it. And while this is funny that he has started a legal defense fund, it's also appropriate to say that he needs it. I don't think he's as wealthy as some people yet on Capitol Hill. I'm sure he's got plenty. He's got his house in Maryland and his apartment in California, but I'm sure he's lined his pockets with all kinds of money from the left for his workings the last few years. I think this guy's in big trouble. We've been trying to figure out from the start, everybody wants to see Hillary in a jumpsuit or Obama in handcuffs and all this stuff. It's not going to happen. I just keep saying it over and over. You got to go smaller. But somehow Adam Schiff seems pretty big compared to even Jim Comey, Brennan, Clapper, those people. Schiff seems pretty big. They take this guy down, it will make a pretty loud statement to Democrats everywhere. Don't be making stuff up. If you want to go out on the trail, you can say whatever you want on the campaign trail that's false. You can make false accusations right and left. But you can't, acting as the head of a committee, going after a president to try to either impeach them or convict them, to try them, to jail them, to prosecute them, send people out to knowingly mislead the media in order to create a story. That is not part of the job, especially when it's behind closed doors and a whistleblower has come forth and said it. It is so much worse than Watergate. It's not even close. I don't think people remember Watergate for what it was. It was dirty politics, but it was a little bit like college basketball was probably dirty in the 70s. They probably paid players $100 and gave them a Pontiac Firebird or something like that. But it got to the point 10, 15 years ago where it was hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and all kinds of incentives, and actually illegal fraud, setting up players with agents and shoe companies and everything else. It grew and it grew and it grew to where it was actually a crime, and some people were arrested for committing crimes, not just NCAA violations. That's what this feels like to me. It just feels like a huge progression of what they've done in the Democrat Party, thinking they can get away with everything. So I'll ask you a question. I'd love to hear your comments on this topic. This story, to me, is really interesting because it happened July 26th, which is close to a month ago now, well over 3 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks. A 45-year-old man in Cincinnati was pummeled on the street. He was white. His assaulters were black. They've all been charged with crimes of assault and battery. We saw the video, and we saw the video of the woman that got pummeled. She's had all kinds of money raised on her behalf for getting decked down to the ground and hitting her head on the ground and knocking her out. And she's not in any sort of trouble for what her role was that night, and really looks like the worst of the two victims, although this man got repeatedly beaten while he was on the ground, which it seems to me there should be a different level of assault when you're assaulting someone who's defenseless, like being held by others or on the ground, half knocked out. That almost should be a different crime. At that point, it becomes attempted murder to me. If somebody's down on the ground and already, half out cold and being held down and others are, it was just brutal what they did to this man. They have now charged him with a crime. The victim has been charged with a crime. His name has not been released because he's protected under law as a victim to not have his name released. They've charged him with a 4th-degree misdemeanor, disorderly conduct. Now, it's been widely reported that this fight started, that the man was popping off. He was saying things that you and I wouldn't say. He had a foul mouth, and he probably had a dirty mouth, and he probably made some racial slurs. Maybe even said the N-word. I don't know. But I think this man should never accept punishment for a 4th-degree misdemeanor, no matter what he said. If he didn't push somebody, if he didn't swing at somebody, we have free speech in this country. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how these things go, but I'll tell you what I believe. I believe that he has the right to stand on a street corner and say whatever he wants, and my rights as an American citizen preclude me from beating somebody up for calling me a name. I don't have the right to kick your butt because you called me a bad broadcaster or a loser or a pathetic wretch of a human being or a racial slur or a religious slur. Doesn't give me the right to beat you up. But here's what happened in Cincinnati. It's been almost a month, and none of the white people have been charged. It was all people of color. This stinks to the high heavens to me. I could be wrong. Maybe he did something that we didn't see. But disorderly conduct is not pushing somebody. It's not assaulting somebody. It's not swinging at somebody. It's all been reported that this altercation started because this man might have used racial slurs, and they came after him and pummeled him. Do you think free speech protects you from getting beaten up? Not that in the real world you wouldn't. Does the law protect you? Should it be illegal to beat somebody up over free speech? If that's the case, we got real problems, because there's all kinds of free speech all over the place that I don't like. That doesn't give me the right to go beat somebody up, kick them in the head while they're on the ground. I would take, if I were this man, and I think there's going to be, forget a legal defense fund, somebody's going to take this case on. A free speech lawyer somewhere is going to take this case on and say, no, we're not pleading guilty to a 4th degree misdemeanor. Not going to do it. Disorderly conduct, using foul language or something, unless there's specific laws in Cincinnati that you can't say the F word or the N word or whatever in a public place, a sidewalk, that is a crime, then maybe it is. Maybe they have laws on the books that is a crime. If that's the case, then that's different. But other than that, I'd take this all the way to the Supreme Court. I honestly believe it. I think we have a right to say whatever we want to anybody we want without fear of being beaten up or shot or killed. Now, your common sense may tell you you're pretty stupid if you do that. I wouldn't do that, and I'm not condoning his conduct. I don't think what he did was right. If he's sitting there calling these people names, there's a lot of people would say, hey, you provoked it. You deserve to get your ass kicked. I get that. But I don't think our Constitution's written that way, and I don't think our laws are that way. And waiting a month? Why would it take a month? Why would you take a month to give a 4th degree misdemeanor of disorderly conduct to the victim, who you can't even name his name because he's clearly the victim in this case? Why would you wait a month and slap this on the only white guy that got charged with something? I'll let you answer that question. 913-408-7957. That's 913-408-7957. The whole incident in Cincinnati feels to me like a 10-year ago flashback. Like, here we go. We got a problem here. Everybody we arrested is a person of color. We got to go get something on the white guy. That's so 2016. That doesn't feel like today. I'm really interested to see what the reaction will be. I'd love to know what you think. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. BestOfferKC.com is Kansas City's place to go when you need to sell a house fast. BestOfferKC.com will come in and take a look at your property. They won't judge it. They don't care if it's cluttered. They don't care if it needs fixing, repairing. They don't need to show it to realtors. This is the way to get out quickly and get your cash for what your property is worth, for what your house is worth, and the land that you have. Whether it's inherited house, financial issue, maybe it's a matter of health concerns. Best Offer KC will guide you through the plan that's just right for you, even if that means in the end you don't sell to bestofferkc.com. These are wonderful Kansas Cityans that really care when you need to sell or move quickly. They even lend money to sellers before closing if need be. Nobody else does that. They've also never backed out of a deal at bestofferkc.com. Mark and his team are very proud of that. The other guys can't say that. If the safe, secure, easiest way sounds right to you, call bestofferkc.com at 816-338-SOLD. That's 816-338-SOLD for bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio. 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Uncanceled. Great to have you with us on this glorious day. We're taking your phone calls. If you'd like to join us at 913-408-7957. We will start today with Stephen in KC. Good morning, Stephen. How you been?
Hey, Kevin. I was looking at all the footage of these new stadiums that they're building over in Lawrence. You know, all the local media was over there.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion of how this stuff is financed? I saw that Booth gave them like $300 million, and he gave, I guess, another gift to $300 million to the University of Chicago, one of the biggest ever. And KU's going to set aside, according to what they said in the papers, that KU will set aside $225 million to try and make interest off of bonds to pay the NIL monies.
That's all correct.
And they're going to have a $75 million for the kitty to kind of start up the next project.
Well, my opinion of how KU's financing this, anything David Booth wants to give him to pay for is great, but he gave him $75 million for the next phase. That's right. What is happening. The other $225 is being held back for NIL. The $300 million he gave to the University of Chicago was 17 years ago, so he's done that in the past. But he's given plenty of money to Kansas. The stadium was already named after him. He's donated tens of millions of dollars, if not over $100 million, to the projects there with football, the Hall of Fame, the rules of basketball he purchased for him. He's done this a lot. He's a billionaire. He's got a lot of money. He's done that. I have no issue with any of that. Every school has people like that. They should do that. In this case, there's $85 million worth of taxpayer money going to KU's football stadium with no vote. That bothers me. I live in Kansas, and it cheeses me. $35 million of that. Pete was just talking about this last hour, that Kansas City, Missouri has some problems, or Jackson County, because they were getting COVID funds that have now run out. They were using them in their budget. Okay? The state of Kansas gave KU football $35 million worth of COVID money that the federal government kicked to the state of Kansas that they never spent on COVID, and they gave to KU football. $50 million. The governor of Kansas gave them $50 million for economic development in a conference center and a hotel around the stadium, which they don't have. But they got the money. That's how they got the project started. They're supposed to have a hotel and a conference center eventually and all these things, and maybe they will, but the jumpstart money, because Kansas fans weren't having it, they like to put their money into basketball. The jumpstart money was $85 million from taxpayers, and I think that is absolutely wrong, and no other school in Kansas has gotten that.
Well, we haven't even started to get money from the legislature, Kevin. With that project, the total bill was $808 million, and they've done phase one, and they want a tax district. They want another $350 from the legislature.
Correct.
And they must have the votes. Or
these aren't star bonds.
We wouldn't be proposing this.
And these aren't star bonds. These are not star bonds.
It is a star bonds district in Lawrence.
The entertainment center is. But the entertainment center is going nowhere. The money that was given to them has been for the football stadium.
Right. But there's a football dorm and a $300 million parking garage underneath the hotel. There's
no hotel.
But when they build it, my point is, what's to prevent K-State from coming in and saying, well, we need a dome over Bill Snyder Family Stadium?
Nothing, but that's wrong too.
I know, but why? How is this going to get? How can they? Why isn't the endowment? Right. Why is the KU endowment not paying for this?
Well, I can tell you this. KU, a good call. KU is $32 million under budget as a university this year, and they've told their employees there will probably be a hiring freeze, even if Kansas employees at the state of Kansas get a raise. They probably won't at KU. They also receive money at the school from the athletic department that they probably will no longer get because of NIL. The athletic department's going to need that money. There's financial issues there. I did a whole piece on this last week or the week before. The school is run like liberals run government. The University of Kansas is run like Democrats run a government. That's how they run their school. Here's John in Topeka. Hi, John. How are you?
Pretty good. You was talking about that guy that got charged there in that beating.
Yes, sir.
Earlier. No matter what he was saying, however stupid he was saying it, unless he was actually threatening people, he has every right to run his mouth and be as stupid as he wants without fear of being beaten nearly to death by
Right.
people that. I mean, because how weak are you to allow somebody's words to make you physically attack them? I mean, look at the Phelpses. They hold up signs that I disagree with. They sit out there
Right.
and picket churches, and I've gone to a church that they've picketed. I've gone over and asked them, say, you guys want to come in and have coffee? You know, whatever, you're welcome to come in. I'll buy you coffee. And they're like, no, thank you. And I was like, I support your First Amendment right to free speech. I said, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I support it. And they said, thank you very much for supporting our right to free speech. They have a horrible message. I don't agree with it. But I didn't go over there and attack them. I offered them coffee.
And I think it's very interesting. They charged him with disorderly conduct, not public intoxication or drunk and disorderly. They didn't get him on any alcohol charges or anything like that. So we really don't know what happened, but it feels like 4 weeks later when you go back in and you cite him with a 4th-degree misdemeanor that something's wrong here, that they're like, we got to send a message to a certain community that we're on this. It does not look right to me.
It seems like they're trying to soothe the politically correct feathers of somebody that's ruffled, because we got to be politically correct somewhere. So we have to make somebody look like a bad guy someplace that, yes, he may have been. Not everybody has the tattoo on their forehead that lets me know that they're stupid instantly when I look at them. But, the freedom of speech lets me to figure it out that later when they've opened their mouth enough. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of dumb and I don't want to hang out with you.
Yep. Well played. Hey, man, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it.
See ya.
I agree. I think most fair-minded people would look at this and say it feels like 10 years ago, that this is the kind of thing we did then, and we've not been doing as much now. We're seeing it all over the place in our society. In the golden age of Trump right now, these things aren't happening. But it just happened in Cincinnati, and I wonder if people are going to latch onto this and go, wait a second, why was the victim who could have died on the ground that night, why is he charged with disorderly conduct? Uncanceled continues on KCMO.
From the nation's heartland, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
Welcome back to the big show. Good to have you with us today. Did you see Sherry Redstone? She was the CEO of Paramount. They settled that $16 million lawsuit with Donald Trump over CBS 60 Minutes editing deceptively Kamala Harris during the campaign. It was believed that they did this because they wanted to settle the takeover by Skydance for $8 billion. She's commented publicly that, man, $16 million was a no-brainer. Just pay the man, move on, let's sell our company. Now the New York Times is reporting that they've been speaking with her about all of this, and she thought the settlement was a huge deal for Paramount to do with Trump because unbeknownst to the Trump people, she says they would have found a Joe Biden cover-up in Discovery if they'd taken this thing further. Now, I'm pretty sure Trump didn't want this to go to Discovery either. But Sherry Redstone now saying that if they had gotten to Discovery, they would have found that she's like out now. Skydance owns this thing. I think what she's saying is CBS News covered up for Joe Biden's cognitive inability. And there was all kinds of emails and video and audio and all kinds of things that would have implicated CBS in this. And that settlement would have been, well, the decision would have been a lot more than $16 million. And the whole country would have seen what they did with Joe Biden. But now they can't get those documents. 913-408-7957 if you'd like to give us a call. Here's our buddy Wes calling from Gladstone. Hi, Wes.
Yeah, hey, Kevin, I just saw that a guy in England got arrested for saying the word bacon because it was offensive to Muslims. Now, there goes their freedom of speech. But so as far as the thing in Cincinnati goes, okay, if you're a white guy and you're out drinking at a place like that and you start using the N-word in front of black people, you might get punched. Now,
right.
You shouldn't be attacked by a mob and, almost killed, okay?
Right.
But I also look at it, if you're white, well, one, blacks can use the N-words, but white can't. But whites can't. That to me is a freedom of speech issue, okay? But if you want to use the N-word as a white person in public, what that tells me is, well, I don't have to guess you're an idiot racist. Thanks for unmasking yourself, And
I think
you look at the person as you're a total moron, and you just go on, But attacking people, no, that's way out of bounds, man.
I think one of the important things here is it's being portrayed that this guy started it, that he provoked it, but we don't even know that. What if somebody bumped into him and he turned around and said, "Hey, bud, what's up?" And the guy said, "Oh, shut up, cracker," or something like that. What if they were saying things to him and then he started hollering stuff back? I don't know. That's disorderly contact for both of them. But I don't know that anybody, the people that were charged with assault, did they tack on fourth degree disorderly conduct to all those people? I don't know that they did. I mean, we don't even know what that is. All we know is it's been reported he was using racial slurs. That doesn't mean he walked up out of nowhere. I mean, I find it hard to believe this guy hasn't spent his whole life getting his butt kicked if he walks around and walks up to black people and calls them the N-word. Okay, so something precipitated that. I don't think the man just walked up to 6 black guys and started calling them all the N-word. That doesn't sound right to me.
I think all this is some DEI person in Cincinnati government is like, oh, we got to cover our butts here and we got to charge this guy. It's ridiculous.
I think you're probably right. Good stuff, buddy. Thanks, Wes, as always. Appreciate you. Very nice. I love what's going on in Oklahoma. It was announced this week in Oklahoma that Oklahoma has no sanctuary cities, no sanctuary jurisdictions at all. Oklahoma has now announced a long-range agreement with ICE, and they will be deporting very soon 500 illegal aliens that are in state of Oklahoma institutions already incarcerated for crimes committed. Think of that for a second. We were literally having a discussion whether or not we should have an open border. The state of Oklahoma has 500 illegal aliens that are already been arrested, charged, convicted, sentenced, and put away in jails, state jails, prisons in Oklahoma, and they've just been sitting there working out their terms, and the people of Oklahoma are paying for it. So Oklahoma has worked out a deal with ICE. They're going to be turning these 500 over, and they're all going home. And the good people of Oklahoma don't have to pay the bill anymore. That's fantastic. They also have agreed in Oklahoma that what they will do with their arrangement with ICE, any single law enforcement agency in Oklahoma that comes across an illegal alien that's a criminal must immediately be turned over to ICE. They will not even go into the state system. We don't want to try these people. We don't want to go through the process. Our lawyers don't need to be defending them. We don't need judges sitting on a court, and we certainly don't need the good people of Oklahoma sitting on juries. That's out. We're done with this. The sheriff or the highway patrol or whatever in Oklahoma just pulled you over. You're an illegal alien or you've committed a crime or whatever. I mean, the truck driver the other day, immediately the truck driver is turned over to ICE. There is no prosecution in Oklahoma. Now, Florida wants to prosecute that guy. They want to imprison him for life. They want to send him, they think sending him home is too good. Well, we had this boxer, Julio Cesar Chavez. You may have heard of him. And he got caught last month as a criminal illegal alien because he committed fraud on his green card. He overstayed his visa, and he married an American citizen who is a known colleague of cartels in an attempt to stay here because he was wanted in Mexico for crimes. They picked him up in California, sent him to Mexico, and he's in prison. So these people from Oklahoma need to be sent back to their countries and put in prison. Or they work with ICE. Maybe some of them go to CCOT. There's places to go. Trump's been talking about countries all over the world. They're going to take our prisoners. They don't have to be federal prisoners. If states work it out with ICE and turn these people over to the feds, we can ensure that the worst of these people don't just go home and get off free and get out of jail and stay home. That's not right either. We can find places for them and work with their governments to get them in those places. I love the fact that Oklahoma's doing that. And why would you spend all your time and money prosecuting illegal alien criminals when you pick them up at the local level when you can just turn them over to Trump's boys? That seems like the best and easiest way to do it. Let the rest of the country pay for this. Oklahoma didn't create the problem. They shouldn't have to pay for fixing it. They're already paying 1/50th of it or whatever their number is. We watched a show recently on Netflix about, it was good. It wasn't great. I think it's called Untamed. It's in Yosemite National Park in California. It was good. It's about a park ranger, an agent that's there, and there's a murder that takes place. But there's a lot of beauty. We like watching a lot of the shows. We love the western part of the United States, me and my wife. We love the big open spaces. We like the desert as much as we love the big sky open area of Montana and the mountains. We just love the big open spaces. So we watch all these shows that are set in those places, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. But this is the first one we'd watched about Yosemite. And as you're watching it, you're seeing all the landmarks. I've not been to Yosemite. I've been to many of the national parks. Next week, we're going to be spending some days at Zion National Park in Utah. Can't wait. Never been there. Very much looking forward to going. So we're watching this show in Yosemite, and I don't know much about it other than when I was a kid, there was a cartoon character named Yosemite Sam. And he was the big guy with the mustache and the guns, right? Hey! I remember Yosemite Sam. And we're watching this, and there's all these landmarks like El Capitan, the rock formation in Yosemite, that are part of the show. And then I see this story this morning at Breitbart. Park ranger fired after teaming with drag race star to hang the trans flag in Yosemite National Park from El Capitan rock formation. This is a great story. In a post on Instagram, August 18th, Shannon Joslin revealed she'd been fired from her post with the National Park Service last week after she had, quote, hung a trans flag on El Capitan in May. Joslin added that she had done so in her free time, off duty, as a private citizen. The Daily Mail reported that Joslin, who identifies as being non-binary, holds a PhD in genomics and studies bats. And we're not talking baseball. Last week, I was fired from my dream job as a permanent park ranger with the NPS for practicing my First Amendment right. In May, I hung a trans flag on El Capitan that celebrates my acceptance of my identity. I hung the flag in my free time, off duty, as a private citizen. Well, there's only one question to ask. Is it legal to hang flags in a national park on a national monument? I can't imagine it is. I would think if it is, I got 10 or 12 flags I'll take to El Capitan. We'll put the American flag on top. That'll cheese them. Then maybe a couple of MAGA Trump flags. Then maybe we'll go Chiefs, Royals, KU, K-State, Missouri. We'll line that thing with up all kinds of stuff. It seems like as a park ranger, you know you're not supposed to be hanging things in national monuments or on national monuments in national parks. I don't know. If you have the right to do that, and that's not a crime, if that's a thing that you do in national parks, every time I go to the national park, they tell me things like, you can't bring your dog in here. They don't want you doing anything in a national park. Like, don't touch anything, no fishing, unless it's a special area and a permit and all these things. There's nothing. You drive through, you can camp in this area. That's it. You can there's a lot of rules in the national parks, as it should be. I can't imagine one of the terms of employment as a park ranger is I can hang whatever I want on the national monuments. We'll see. They wouldn't have fired her if it was illegal to fire her for that. They wouldn't have. She can call it First Amendment if she wants, but this is different. The flag is 55 feet wide and 35 feet tall. It's the largest ever displayed on the iconic rock El Capitan. The LGBTQ activists reportedly hung the massive trans flag up there somewhere between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., 1,500 feet up in the air, where it remained displayed until around noon when park officials ordered for it to be removed. I'm sorry. I just don't have time to feel sorry for these people and their grievances. If it's your dream job, okay, it can't be your dream to go hang a 55-foot flag. You get one dream. If this is the dream job, your dream job was protesting something as a non-binary person. That was your dream. You just happen to be a park ranger that did it. Sorry, I don't feel bad for you. I just don't. Electric vehicle maker Rivian is in trouble. Rivian makes a really upscale electric vehicle. A lot of people just love them, if EVs are your thing. They're $100 million underwater and perhaps headed toward bankruptcy. The reason is fuel restrictions have changed under Donald Trump. Tax breaks are gone for Rivians, and they're having trouble competing in the marketplace. Well, imagine that. You level the playing field for people that make cars with gas and cars with batteries, and you don't give people incentive to buy one over the other, and Rivian's in trouble. This is a high-end EV company. They make really good EVs, as I understand it. And they're in big trouble because they have built their company relying on Democrats. Lesson learned. Don't rely on Democrats to pass laws for you to keep your company afloat. You better find your own way in private industry. Costco has announced it's no longer carrying the abortion pill. I guess, is this the thing we call the day after pill? Mifepristone, mifepristone. It's out of Costco. They're not making a political statement. Lack of demand. Nobody buys it. The abortion pill was pure failed ideology. Why would you need a next day pill if you can get a pill to take before you do whatever you do and never have the problem? This is just, again, far left ideology not working in the marketplace. Two classic examples today. Kudos to Costco. They're not going to carry something in their store that doesn't sell. They've made it known. We're not picking sides here. We got pharmacies. Some Costcos have pharmacies. I don't know that the ones here do, but the Costco pharmacy, the ones that do, they're saying, nobody's buying this. We're out. We're not stocking this in here. No political statement there, but the bottom line is when you side with all these people on the left and think that's a business model, you got problems coming around the bend. Coming up next, Mark Van Sickle joins us. We're going to talk about the Royals 5 in a row, and London wants the Super Bowl. That's next on Uncanceled.
From Leawood to Liberty, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
The fifth person has pleaded guilty in the death of Matthew Perry, the beloved star of Friends, co-star of Friends. The ketamine queen has been, she pled guilty. She's been in jail since the death. This was March of 24 when she was initially jailed. She's pleaded guilty to providing 25 vials of ketamine for $6,000 2 days before his death. She was facing 45 years in prison. We don't know what the plea is at this point. The fifth person charged and convicted in pleading with the prosecution on this in the death of Matthew Perry. What a tragic Hollywood story that is. Did you watch The Friends? Mark, did you like The Friends?
I did like Friends.
Did you have a favorite friend?
I mean, I like Jennifer Aniston.
Of course. This is so easy. My questions with you are so easy.
Joey, though.
I was going to say, if you could have a beer with one of them, probably Joey, right? Mm-hmm. Just to hear what kind of dumb thing he might say. It was a great show, no doubt. That's my wife's favorite show. The Royals have won 5 in a row. Bobby Witt becomes the 4th player in history to hit 100 home runs and have 100 stolen bases in his first 4 years. And it was a big one. They were up 1 in the 8th inning, but you kind of felt like that wasn't enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, needed to get another run or two.
What do you make of this? They're 2.5 out of the wild card.
They're hot at the right time, which is good. They've got some tough games coming up against Detroit, and then I think they have Seattle coming to town in early September. That's going to be a huge series.
They passed the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the first team out as of right now.
Yep.
Seattle, New York, Seattle, and Boston are the 3 teams that are in. 2 of those teams are 9 games over 500. The Yankees are 11 games over 500. The Royals are 4 games over 500. I get into this discussion with my mom every single day. She likes to do the game, how many games back, and I always say double it. That's what your problem is. There's 5 games difference. If somebody's 9 games over and you're 4 games over, you need 5 outcomes. You can't do it yourself. It sounds like all the Royals got to do is win 3 games, but they could win their next 3 games and not pick up anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I always look at what the number is you need to do to get in the playoffs. We figure that's going to be about 10 over. So the Royals are 4 over right now, playing their second best ball of the season. They had a hot stretch earlier this year.
Yep.
Lugo was better last night. That's a big deal.
They needed that.
I was really worried, weren't you?
I was a little concerned after he gave up 7 runs against, the Nationals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Couldn't throw strikes. Kept walking guys and then grooving it down the middle. Mike Yastrzemski, we're just going to have to call this guy Carl Yastrzemski going forward because all he does is homer.
Big Bomb Yastrzemski.
Big Bomb. He is the first player since 1901 to hit 3 leadoff home runs for his team in his first 15 games with that team. That's an obscure stat, but it's also true.
It's pretty nice for the Royals.
Man, I don't think they knew that was coming. It's been a hot start.
Yeah.
He's never really been a leadoff hitter.
I'm glad they switched him up with India because that wasn't going well.
It has worked, man.
Worked out.
India fouled a ball off his man parts last night. Did you see that?
Ouch.
Why does everybody laugh when that happens?
I always feel bad.
I know. It's just not nice. Like the trainer's laughing at him like, he's talking like a 4th grade schoolgirl. Peter Mendelsohn is the ambassador to the United States from the United Kingdom. And he says, we don't care what it takes. We want a Super Bowl in London. We don't care when. I just want an agreement while I'm the ambassador. He wants the credit for it. Well, there you go. He says, we love it. We love it. We love the Super Bowl. He should just repeat it over and over and over. We love it. The game would start at 11:30 London time. What do you think about that, Mark?
No, this is America's game. Don't put it anywhere else. Keep it in America.
I love you more every day, buddy. I'm with you. If they get a team, if there's international expansion and something like that, then okay.
Maybe.
And I think maybe I won't be around for it. I'll be dead and gone. I think there will be globalism of all of our major franchises. I think it's coming eventually. Good stuff. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate Mark Van Sickle, John Anthony, and the whole team here at KCMO Talk Radio. The Vince Show's coming right up.
Kansas City's place to talk. KCMO.